If you're caught in an active shooter situation as an adult at an event, then this is what you need to do in order to survive. This video is specifically made for adults in a social setting, not for children in a school setting. According to a study done by University of Minnesota, an active shooter incident on average lasts for 12 minutes. In these 12 minutes, if you follow these 3 simple steps, you will have a significantly increased chance of survival. According to FBI, active shooter incidents have been increasing significantly over the last few years, and almost half of these incidents happen between 6 p.m. and 12 a.m. Isn't this surprising? I know what you're thinking. Don't active shooter incidents usually happen in school during school hours? Sandy Hook, Robb Elementary, these are proof, aren't they? Actually, that's what we hear about most in the news. It gets the most coverage and attention. So we don't think about people who are targeted between 6 p.m. to 12 a.m., which, if you think about it, usually are adults who are out and about in the evenings at an event or a party. So if you're a social adult, if you like to go out in the evenings, that's almost all of us, then you, my friend, unfortunately are a target. California has the highest active shooter incidents according to this 2022 report produced by the FBI. And Illinois has the largest mass killings in this country, with Missouri and Texas right behind. Not to mention the recent mass shootings that happened on Chinese New Year in Los Angeles just last week, where 11 people were killed. So if you live in Los Angeles or Chicago, this video is specially for you. So let's get right into the 3 steps that will save your life. Step 0. This is your preventative step. This is what you do even before an active shooter situation arises. The first thing you want to do as soon as you enter an event venue, this can be a ballroom, theater, arena, a bar, you look for all the exits. Do this first before you meet up with your friends and start socializing. Look for all the signs, all these exit signs, memorize them, and make sure you inform your friends or co-workers who are there about these exits. If any of your friends or the company you're in that night teases you for pointing out the exits by saying, "Oh, don't be such a party pooper, just have fun, ha ha ha," then you need to get the hell out of there and find better company. This step must be performed by 100% of the citizens of this universe. Do not make an excuse. It's very important, and hopefully this is it. You never have to go beyond this step. The most important thing to remember about this step is that the way you came in is almost always the wrong way to get out in case of an emergency. Let me repeat that. The way you entered the venue is usually the wrong way to exit in case of an emergency. Why? Because most of us enter through the main door, the main entrance, including the active shooter. You want to run away from the active shooter and hence away from the main door. Now, this is not always the case, just usually the case, and that's why I want you to know all the emergency exits in that room. Because once the shooting starts, you panic, your limbic system takes over, your brain just goes to overload, you're not going to be able to make a decision, and either you will go towards the main door because that's the only exit you know, or you'll freeze in place, both of which are terrible first choices because those are the situations where you're most likely to get shot. Just remember the saying by Louis Pasteur of pasteurization: life favors those who are prepared. All right, so finally we move on to the first step, which is what do you do when you start hearing gunshots? The first thing you want to do is dash for that exit away from the attacker. Moving makes you harder to get hit by a bullet. That's why you don't want to freeze in place and be static and an easy target. While you're running towards the emergency exit, there are 3 important things to keep in mind. Make sure you're not in the line of fire. Make sure you cover your head with your hands, and that's a pretty natural instinctive thing to do, right? Duck and cover, so that's okay. If you have a backpack or an object, then use it to cover your back. If you don't have it, that's fine. Don't go and try to grab your bag. Don't spend that extra second because every second counts. Your priority is to get out. As soon as you're out of the room and onto the street, there are 2 more things to keep in mind. First, go out with your hands up, just in case the cops have shown up. It'll make it easier for them to see and identify you as a victim. Second, if you don't already see the police cars and police officers out there, call 911. This is the biggest mistake I see people make. assuming that someone must have already called in by now, so I don't want to bother the 911 operators and dispatchers. No, please do bother them. This is their job. The more calls, the better. Don't fear being the fourth or the fifth person to call, okay? Every second counts. Any 911 dispatchers out there who want to confirm this below in the comments? In my personal experience, the first call that goes out to 911 during an emergency can take anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. That's a whole minute late. Why does this happen? Because, someone is waiting to see, is someone going to call? Or should I call? Or stop looking around and waiting. Just call 911. If you're not able to go towards an exit because it is blocked or you're in the line of fire, then you need to hide. Here are the key principles to keep in mind when trying to find a hiding spot. It must have a solid surface that can cover your body. Don't worry about it being bulletproof. Your goal is to get as much protection as possible in terms of width and depth. So if you can get behind a counter or a stage, that's what you want to choose, something that will cover your full body. If that's not accessible or if it's not an option, then use the table as a shield. Just knock it down so that it can cover as much of your body as possible when you crouch behind it. If you don't have a table, then do the same thing with the chair. Once again, make sure that the chair is kicked down because it doesn't provide much protection otherwise, so you can hide behind the much wider part of the chair. Remember this, the best hiding spot, we need you to travel to it. While you're traveling to this location, don't try to crawl. Just duck and run. Crawling is not great for your safety because it slows you down, you're a trip hazard for somebody trying to run, and you can get injured by people running over you. So not only is it not great for your safety, it can actively put you in danger. Step 3 is your last and final step and only must be used as a last resort. If you cannot run towards an exit, if you cannot hide or continue to hide, and you know the shooter is coming for you, then you need to fight. As scary as this may sound, your life is already in danger and your best chance of survival at this point is to fight. If you're in a position where you must fight, here's what you need to do in order to increase your chances of survival. First, go for the arm that's holding the weapon. The real weapon that hurts us is not what is being carried, that's just the means, it's the arm, the wrist. It's a pretty common concept in martial arts and self-defense, one which I actually approve of. So take control of the person's hand, arm, or wrist. Second, as soon as you do that, you want to scream as loudly as possible to attract attention to yourself. Most likely the shooter is acting alone, so the attention you get are from the other victims who may feel encouraged and jump in to help you. Now, if you're the second person to jump in and help take down the shooter, you want to go for their ankles or legs. Try to knock the shooter to the ground, get him off balance. The third person who steps in then can try and stomp on the shooter's head to knock out the shooter. Now you might be thinking, well, Fazia, where's the disarm? Don't I need to disarm the shooter and take control of the gun? Isn't that the first step to self-defense? In the LA mass shooting, someone did disarm the shooter, but the shooter was 72 years old and the young citizen was probably in his 30s. So if you're a strong person and confident in your training, go for the disarm. Otherwise, the key to winning this fight as an untrained professional is to control, dominate, and knock out. And once your group manages to knock down the attacker, then you can work on getting the weapon out of the attacker's hand. If you try to control the weapon first, then the chances of you getting hurt are higher because you don't know what you're dealing with and you don't know how the weapon works. Now at this point, you might be thinking, that's a lot of information. Am I going to be able to remember all of this in the heat of the moment when my brain and body are most likely to freeze? Yes. In fact, I have a simple way for you to remember this. Eliminating step 0, which is your preventative situational awareness step, all you have are 3 steps. Run, hide, fight. That's all I want you to remember. Run towards an exit away from the shooter if you can. If you cannot, then hide. If that's not an option, then I want you to fight. Just these 3 words, and you'll do great. I have faith in you. You can find the entire 5-minute video on fbi.gov by searching for Run, Hide, Fight. I highly recommend you watch this video. Today, you have an obligation to share this information and save someone's life. So please pass this along and share the video with a dear friend and a loved one so you can protect them, prepare them, and save their life. If you found this information really helpful, please click the thumbs up button. And if you are new to this channel and would like more personal safety and empowerment tips, I would love to invite you to subscribe to our channel. Until next time.